Well, hello, good people. Mark Holmes here, outside of the Red Brick House in Waynesboro, Virginia. And I have to say that last night was another step in the history of the Red Brick House. And before I get to that, I have to thank David Geiger of the Waynesboro Historic Society because they donated $1,000 to help us get started on our brickway, historical brickway. What I have here is actually one of the first stones that have come in. What we're going to do is we're going to each have a decade, and these decade stones will actually have 5 significant things that happened during that decade. City of Waynesboro population 250, states in the Union 17, first steam ferry was created then, War of 1812, and the Battle of Waterloo. We'll also have a row with the history of Waynesboro, of significant events that have happened throughout here, and the history of the Red Brick House. Thank you very much, David, for that. Last night, the city of Waynesboro actually honored us with a proclamation about the Red Brick House, and I have to thank Chanda McGuffin for facilitating and getting all of this going to have the city recognize the significance, of course, of this house. And I want to show you guys exactly what transpired, and I couldn't be prouder. When we started this journey, I never thought that we would get here and that this place would be as beautiful as it is. But I've been truly blessed and honored to be the caretaker of this house.
This is item 6, and that is to present a proclamation to Mark and Tracy Holmes, recognizing their work to preserve the Red Brick House. And I've asked Mr. Wood to read that, please.
Signed by the mayor, but on behalf of all of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Whereas the Red Brick House at 1017 New Hope Road in Waynesboro, Virginia was built circa 1820. Since 1955, the property was used mostly as a residential rental until it fell into disrepair. Whereas at the encouragement of citizens in May of 2016, the City Council voted to transfer ownership of the property to the newly formed Red Brick House Committee, formed to save the house from demolition. And whereas the Red Brick House Committee worked tirelessly to overcome the zoning obstacles that delayed making the plan to save the home a reality. And whereas after securing the site rezoning, the Red Brick House Committee then transferred the property to Mr. Mark Holmes, owner of a contracting company, the Wood Board, who undertook plans to renovate the 19th century red brick house, also known as the Arnold House. And whereas due to Mr. and Mrs. Holmes' untiring efforts and hard work, the Red Brick House is on its way to becoming a beautiful and welcome extension of Waynesboro's historical renaissance. And whereas it is important to celebrate the role of history in our lives and the contributions made by dedicated individuals like Mr. and Mrs. Holmes in helping to preserve the tangible aspects of the heritage that has shaped the city of Waynesboro and us as a people. And whereas Waynesboro encourages the preservation and active use of historic structures to enhance the city's quality of life, economic vibrancy, and environmental sustainability. And now, therefore, it be proclaimed that the Waynesboro City Council honor Mr. and Mrs. Mark and Tracy Holmes for their tireless efforts and dedication to preserving, beautifying, and honoring an important part of Waynesboro's past and future. Signed by Lana Williams, Mayor, City of Waynesboro.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wood. I'd like to also thank the Historic Commission for requesting this proclamation. Thank you, Shanda, for reaching out and providing some of the words. I would like to invite Mark and Tracy forward if they would like to receive this and maybe say a few words, and then the rest of council can also join us in the picture. We'll go ahead and present this, and if you would like to add a few words. Would you like to stop here? Or down with me?
Come up and get in the picture. Mr. Lee. Hold on, we're trying to make it a better frame here.
Oh, hold on. Before you do that, I need one more person. I need my count. Because without you, this would not be.
Oh. Slide on in here.
Let's look at Jesus and the first. And then we'll look at Grace. Got it?
ago, I came in here with this brick. And I have to thank Mike Hemp because after trying to get the Red Brick House Committee to be able to save the house and not coming up with a plan, it was way beyond time to go ahead and get rid of it. But Mike listened to me, gave me the opportunity for, some of you were here at that time, some of you weren't, to try and save that house. They always say, be careful what you wish for because you might just get it. And getting that house has been the most challenging thing that I've ever had to do in my life, but also most rewarding. One of the days we were working on the house, the backside of the house literally was rotted out where it didn't touch the foundation. And I had this lady come in who was literally crying. And this is Beverly Bush. And she said, thank God you are saving this house. Finding out from her that her ancestor, David and Mary Bush, are buried about 150 feet from the house. They originally sold the land, which is part of their farm, to William Brown, who was a War of 1812 veteran. He built the structure to be a schoolhouse originally. It became Masonic meeting hall for the city's Masonic Lodge. It became a hospital during the Civil War. It was part of the Battle of Waynesboro. And it has taught me that this house is not just the history of this house. It's the history of Waynesboro. Meeting people like Ted Campbell, who came by while I was working on the front of the house and said, I was born in that front room. And hearing all the stories, meeting the milkman who showed us where the milk box was, and literally meeting probably half of the city of Waynesboro who all drove by to say, thank you for saving this. And all of these great people and all of the history and things, most people when they ride by and see a building like this, look at it as a derelict piece of trash that should be torn down. There's so much history with the city of Waynesboro at its changing point right now, the inflection, that if you don't know where you've come from, you don't know where you're going. So we are doing a brick historic walkway. So this is a new brick because you guys are part of the history of saving this house. And what we're doing is we're trying to raise money to get this house put on the National Register. The walkway will start out with decade bricks that have significant events for each decade. We have another row which will be history of everybody who's owned that house and all the history that's happened with it. And then there's a row that's a history of Waynesboro. Everything from the Iron Cross of the railroads to the Crozet Tunnel to the flood downtown. And this is what needs to be made sure that we don't lose the past. And I thank all of you all for listening to me rambling on because my wife literally says I can talk to a brick wall. And usually do. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Greg, for always keeping us updated on all of the new renovations. We really appreciate Waynesboro.com because I followed the transformation of that house through that site.